Hello. Welcome to my channel Touching Stories. You're about to hear an amazing story about love and unexpected decisions. Enjoy watching. Jack, wake up. It's time for you to go to school, shouted his older brother, trying to wake up the schoolboy. I don't want to. Can I not go anywhere today? Reluctantly answered Jack, hoping that his brother would take pity on him and leave him at home so he could rest. No, get ready. I'm late for work, so hurry up. Harry started to hurry him up, realizing that today was not an easy day and he had a lot to do. Okay, I'm getting up, the younger brother replied, realizing that Harry wouldn't let go of him and would start pulling him out of bed by his feet. With difficulty opening his eyes, the boy ran to the bathroom to clean himself up, then hurriedly ate breakfast and put his backpack together. How much longer will you be waiting? I should be on my way. Now, just a minute, shouted the boy, and having collected himself, ran out into the hallway where his brother was nervously waiting for him, constantly looking at his watch. Shall I pick you up from school on my way to the cemetery to see my parents? Did you want to go there today? Yes. In case you remembered, today is exactly 1 year since they passed away. I'll be waiting for you, Jack said, his face changing dramatically and becoming sad. Okay, let's go, Harry replied, and continued to hurry his slow brother along. Harry hurried to the office after dropping his brother off at school to meet his father's companion, who, after Austin's untimely departure, had not only taken over the business, but had been able to grow the capital. Jack is a 10-year-old schoolboy, and Harry is a second-year student, so neither one nor the other could worthily continue his father's business. But to their good fortune, he had a best friend and companion who did not abandon the boys in a difficult moment. Realizing this, Harry could not hold back a smile because he was very pleased that a stranger treated him and his younger brothers so well, and to some extent could replace his father, continuing to teach them and give useful advice. Good morning, Oliver. Good to see you, Harry said once he was in the office, and the first thing he did was greet his father's companion. Hello, Harry. You've got a lot to do today, so sit down. We're going to look at the market, said the man who had been successfully running a gas company for 20 years. Okay, but I have to tell you that I have to leave early today. Do you want to visit your parents' grave? Yeah. My brother and I arranged for me to pick him up. No problem, I understand. I went to Austin and Svetlana's cemetery myself this morning. I can't believe it's been a year since they were gone. Sitting down next to the guy, said the man, who was still going through the loss of people who had become not only his business partners but also close friends. Thank you for your understanding and help. If not for you, my brother and I would have been on the street a long time ago, having ruined my father's business. This year, you have not only been fully supportive, but you have taken things into your own hands, helping to run the company. My brother and I really appreciate the way you've been treating us, replied Harry with sincere gratitude, who was happy to have someone he could trust unconditionally. It's nothing. I'm doing what anyone in my position would do. And this is where you are wrong. Most would ignore a companion's children or use the situation to take over the company. Maybe you're right. Okay, let's get back to work. After all, we need to work at double speed to get things done. Yes, I agree, replied Harry, who had been hard at work studying his father's business for months now. He hadn't cared for it since he was a teenager because he saw himself in law, but after his parents left, he realized that he had to continue the family business, understanding all its intricacies and nuances. Having given himself a promise to take care of his brother and honor the memory of his father, Harry did his best every day to become a full-fledged partner of Oliver, not only on paper, but also in essence. Realizing that it was time for him to go get his brother, Harry reminded himself of his business and, after saying goodbye to his companion and teacher, hurried to the school. After meeting up, the brothers left for the cemetery to spend time at their parents' grave and at least be near them that way. Jack whispered through tears when he saw the photo of his parents. It was hard for the boy to hold back his emotions, because this year was like a bad dream, where every morning he hoped to wake up to his mother calling him to the kitchen for breakfast. His brother was well treated and cared for, giving all his free time to the younger boy, but he still couldn't replace his parents. So it's unbearably painful for him to look at the photos of those he would never be able to see again. I understand, but you don't have to cry. You're a man. It hurts me too, and I miss my parents a lot. But there's no need to shed tears, Harry replied, trying to support and comfort his younger brother. Why is life so unfair? I don't know. No one knows the answer to that question, the older brother replied, a little sadly, because he had nothing to say about it. After his parents left, he had asked himself that question many times, but without finding an answer, he tried to move on with his life to take care of his brother and to continue the work that his father and mother had done. I hope you never leave me, Jack replied, realizing that Harry was the only person he had left. Don't worry. I'll always be there for you, Harry replied. And as he continued to look at the picture of his parents, he hugged his brother so that he could feel his care and never doubt him. After sitting for a while longer, the boys honored their parents and, realizing it was getting rather late, headed home. Upon arrival, they spent the evening together, realizing that each of them had hope only in his brother, who would never abandon and would give his shoulder in a difficult moment. After dinner, Jack ran out of the kitchen and returned a couple minutes later, bringing an old family photo album. Can we look at the photos? Jack asked, who had seen each of the pictures more than a dozen times, but continued to admire them, remembering a time when everyone was happy and living as one big, close-knit family. Yeah, come on, Harry replied, realizing that his brother needed this. Oh, look, do you remember this day? The boy asked, seeing the picture of his father with a big fish in his hand. Yes, of course you do. Your father was very proud of you on that day because you caught a bigger fish than him, replied the older brother with a smile, also succumbing to pleasant memories. And here the parents are still very young, said the boy sadly, seeing the wedding photos of his father and mother. Yes, young and happy. I miss them so much, Jack said, and almost cried, but began to calm himself not to show weakness, remembering that his father taught him to be strong and courageous in any difficult situation. I miss you too. I'm sure someday we'll be great parents like them. Okay, time to go to bed. You have an early school tomorrow, Harry replied, realizing that his little brother needed to go to bed. The next morning, Harry had trouble waking Jack up again, as he didn't want to go to school. The boy longed to stay home for once and take his mind off the need to study to spend time with his brother. Realizing that he had no choice, Jack obediently began to pack, repeating the standard procedures that began every weekday morning. Harry rushed to the university, realizing that he hadn't been at the university for a week because he was spending more and more time in the company he had inherited from his father. Hi, how's it going here? Is everything okay? Harry asked, meeting his friend with whom they study in the same group. Hi. Where have you been all week? All the teachers are talking about the fact that you haven't been at the university for a week, answered Mickey, who tried to cover for his friend. But he didn't always succeed. There were things at work, you know. You have to get into your father's business. Yeah, I know. But it's not going to get any easier if you get expelled. I realize that you're a millionaire, but you'll have to pass the session on your own. You know that no one will do anything for you. I know. Don't worry. I'll be ready for the credits and exams, Harry replied confidently. He had no doubt that he would have enough intelligence and perseverance not to drop out of the university. At the same time, the guy didn't understand if he really needed it, because he planned to become a lawyer, but he was unlikely to work in this specialty even for a day. Despite this, Harry decided to continue studying, because in business knowledge of law can always come in handy, and there are no useless skills. After discussing matters, the companions hurried to their classes. Teachers, noticing the appearance of Harry, immediately showed him a lot of attention and, trying to test the guy's knowledge, made him go through a series of tests. Surprisingly, the student coped with his task perfectly because even without attending the university, he studied hard, reading books and preparing for classes. After the Paris, Harry left the university in a hurry, realizing that he needed to visit the office before going home. Mickey had offered to stay for at least an hour, as he had hardly seen his friend lately and had forgotten when they had spent time over a cup of coffee or on a walk in the park somewhere. Harry realized this and felt guilty towards his mate, but he felt even more responsible towards his parents. Apologizing to Mickey, he hurried to the office to meet Oliver and get a new dose of useful knowledge necessary for the business in the future. Hello, arrived and ready to learn. Hi, Harry. Great, I've just prepared a couple of interesting situations where it's not just knowledge, it's your gut. I will simulate them, and you try to explain how you would act in this or that situation and why, replied the companion. Having created difficult situations both in negotiations and during the signing of the contract, he was surprised at how easily the guy got out of the situations. A few months ago, he had been lost, unable to answer calmly and panicking, but now he felt strong and confident. Oliver was glad that the student was absorbing knowledge like a sponge and learning to make independent decisions, which was very important for business. After the boy's answers, he felt not only confident in his new partner and the future of their business, but also proud of Harry. Well, did I get all the answers right? Guy asked, not realizing if he had passed the mini-exam from his companion. Yes, you did very well. I sent you some useful links to articles on business. When you get a chance, check them out, and I'll be asking about them in a week. You got a deal? Yeah, sure. I'll study everything and be ready, Harry replied firmly and confidently, realizing that he was making progress and that he liked it a lot. Good. By the way, I wanted to remind you that this weekend we are expecting you and your wife at our house. Angelica made apple pie and will do the kebab, Oliver said, reminding her that they had a meeting planned for the weekend. Okay, my brother and I will definitely be there. I'm sorry, but I have to go, Harry replied and started packing his things, saying goodbye to his companion. Done, run along, the man replied, saying goodbye to the boy. As soon as Harry left the office, Oliver sat down in his chair and leaned his head back and thought about the fact that over the years of his friendship with Austin, he had not only grown attached to his children, but felt something of a kinship in them. Unfortunately, Oliver and Angelica were not blessed by God with children, but they did not despair, for their family friendship had brought them very close to Harry and Jack. After the premature departure of the business partners, the family became even more attached to the children, feeling that they should take care of them in every way possible and support the boys. Realizing this, Oliver promised himself that he would pass on all the knowledge and skills to Harry, realizing that sooner or later he would retire from business and he had no heirs. The man was ready to give his share of the business to his brothers, hoping that they would be able to adequately continue their business. Oliver had no doubt that the gas production company would remain in good hands, because Harry had already become a worthy student and a future successor, who would not be afraid to trust difficult situations and difficult decisions. In the meantime, Harry, after dealing with his work and university affairs, returned home. On the way, he decided to stop by the home appliance store to pamper his little brother, making him a pleasant surprise. Choosing a new game console as a gift, he had no doubt that he would be able to pleasantly surprise Jack. Opening the door to the house, he decided to hide the gift, to delay the moment of presenting the gift at least a little bit, enjoying his brother's sincere emotion. Hey, how are you doing? Harry asked, hiding the gift in the closet by the front door. I'm hungry and hungry. Where have you been so long? Not interested in anything but food at the moment. Sorry, I had a lot of things to do at the university and at the office. Don't worry, we'll order a pizza and have dinner, Harry replied, trying to calm his brother down. Oh, pizza is cool. What should we do? I suggest we play a console and have some fun. We don't have one, Jack replied sadly, as he had already asked his brother to buy one. When he heard his brother say that, he took it as a joke or even a mockery of his dream. But not a few seconds later, Harry opened the closet door, and there was a brand new game console. "Why not?" his older brother asked with a smile on his face. Jack shouted happily and ran to the closet and grabbed the console, then hugged his brother tightly, showing how happy he was with the gift. After unwrapping the gift and waiting for the pizza, the brothers had fun and played all evening without taking their eyes off the TV. Competing against each other and working as a team, they experienced several games, energized with positive emotion. Time flew by unnoticed, so the guys went to bed far past midnight. The next morning, the brothers got out of bed with difficulty, and having slept through almost all the alarm clocks, they realized that the game had gone wrong, and they were very late. Hurriedly packing, they hurried to school, realizing that Jack couldn't miss class. Stopping nearby, Harry decided to steal another minute from his brother, realizing that it was unlikely to make things worse. "Don't go anywhere after class today and wait for me." "Why?" "I can walk home by myself," Jack replied, thinking he was old enough to be on his own. "We're not going home today, we're going to visit." "Yay. Yesterday the console. Today we go to Uncle Oliver and Aunt Angelica. It's a holiday," joyfully replied the boy, who loved to visit the family Walker, because he knew for sure that there is always fun and a lot of delicious food. After sending his brother to school, Harry hurried to the university to try to catch up on his absences and improve relations with the teachers who thought he was disrespectful to them. No one wanted to get into the position of a guy left without parents, as most thought that he was just a major who treated them as second-class people. In fact, Harry never had such feelings, because he was brought up a kind and sympathetic guy, despite the successful financial condition of his parents. Even after becoming a millionaire, he continued to remain the same simple, kind, open, and sincere young man, ready to help anyone and everyone. When school was over, Harry went to the school to pick up his brother. Realizing that the Walkers had plenty of food and there was no point in stopping by the store for a cake, the guys went to visit. Driving into the yard of a private house as if seeing this palace for the first time, they could not take their eyes off it. They had spent every weekend here since they were kids, but they still admired Oliver's cottage because it was magical and captivating in its grandeur. The exquisite combination of stone and wood was striking, created a sense of unity with nature and filled with positive emotion. "Hello, boys. Come inside and wash your hands. Oliver is on his way home and will be here in a minute," said a pretty woman, greeting the boys. "Hello, Angelica." "Okay," obediently replied the boys and hurried to the bathroom. "Hello, darling. Everyone is here. Set the table," said the head of the family, arriving a few minutes later. "In half an hour, everything will be ready," answered the wife, and hurried to the kitchen to prepare everything for dinner. Gathered around the large table, Jack and Harry felt part of this family. Only here they felt needed and loved, because Angelica and Oliver treated them not only with respect or sympathy, but with love. "How are you doing at school?" Man asked, glancing at Jack. "Everything is good, but sometimes it's too boring, because everything that is explained to us is easy and very simple," answered the younger brother, who shows amazing knowledge and instantly grasps new material regardless of its complexity. "And what about your university? No problems because you miss classes?" "Sometimes there are difficulties, but it's all solvable," answered Harry, who, even if it was difficult, didn't want to share his problems and complain, showing his weakness. "That's a good thing. If you need any help or money, you talk. We'll solve all the issues," answered Oliver, who was ready to do anything to help his brothers who were orphans. "Thank you, we know," synchronously answered the guys. "By the way, what are our plans for Saturday and Sunday?" asked the man. "Yes, I need to know that too, to know how to plan the weekend," Angelica added. "I want to go to the woods," Jack answered, who had been promised an outdoor trip for a long time. "Great. So tomorrow we'll go to discover new horizons," Oliver said, happy. After some more talking, everyone went to bed, realizing that tomorrow they had to wake up earlier than usual. Saturday morning started at 6 in the morning because the men decided to go on a forest camping trip where they would not only have fun, but also do it in a useful way. After packing up, the brothers and Oliver set off into the woods near the Walker cottage. Conquering the forest, they decided not only to pick mushrooms and walk, socializing with each other, but also arranged for Jack a real young fighter course on survival in the wilderness. Harry and Oliver taught Jack how to navigate in space, get food and water, build a fire, and determine which mushrooms are edible and which are better to avoid. Having arranged a small picnic in the nature, the men rested and, having collected full bags of mushrooms, went home. "Hello, darling. Look what we have from the quiet hunting," said Oliver, showing 3 mushrooms. "Wow, you've given me a lot of work to do. Tomorrow you'll have a mushroom day, soup and pie." "No objections," replied the man's wife, realizing that she had a lot to do now. While Angelica was busy processing the mushroom prey, the brothers and Oliver went to the bathhouse to relax and enjoy the silence. The next day, realizing that the mushroom diet was not the best option, they decided to grill a kebab, diversifying their menu. After lunch, the men raced in the yard in soccer, while Angelica continues to fiddle with mushrooms, experimenting with dishes where they can be used. So the weekend has passed, and the brothers, having had fun with the Walker family, return home in high spirits. Continuing to rely only on themselves and each other, the brothers continue on with their independent lives, making sure their parents are never ashamed of them. A few years later, Harry graduated from university, got a diploma, realized that he would never work in the specialty, fully dedicated to his father's business. Harry works hard from early morning until late at night, teaching his brother to be independent. Throughout this time, Oliver continues to support the guys in every possible way and is engaged in teaching his older brother so that he could not only manage money, but also know how to earn them. Meanwhile, Jack is increasingly immersed in school life, trying to work on himself in order to follow in the footsteps of his father and brother. Dreaming of becoming a successful businessman, the boy works hard and studies perfectly. The guy's discipline is at the highest level because he is always inconspicuous, but at the same time, at any moment, ready to answer even the most difficult and unexpected question. At the same time, he always remained a simple, kind, and open guy, ready to help friends or classmates, regardless of their financial status. That was until Jack went to the 11th grade, because during that year, he managed not only to fall in love several times with girls who broke his heart, but also to learn the taste of a rich life. From the first day, when they were left alone, and to this day, Harry spoiled Jack in every possible way because he wanted to surround him with care, replace his parents, and give his brother everything he wanted. This had a negative effect on Jack because he began to take it for granted, turning from an obedient boy into a poorly controlled major. A little more time passes and Jack's high school graduation approaches. Realizing that one of the key stages in his brother's life was coming to an end, Harry decided to have a serious talk with him. It was important for his brother to understand if Jack had chosen a university to attend and what industry he saw himself in. Harry did not limit his brother in any way and was ready to support any decision, understanding that Jack should realize himself and make his dreams come true. He agreed with any opinion of his younger brother, so he treated the upcoming conversation quite calmly and with restraint. Returning home after another hard day of work, Harry did not delay this conversation, realizing that the school stage was practically behind him. "So what have you decided? Any plans on what you'd like to do after graduation?" "Yes, I want to go out and rest," Jack answered, a little shocked by his older brother's answer. "Well, it's understandable. We all wanted to have fun, but I'm asking about studying. Have you decided what you want to do and where you're going to go?" Harry decided to clarify again, asking more precise question. "I'd like to take a year off after school, have some fun, and decide what I want to do later. I have plenty of time because I have my whole life ahead of me, so 1 year doesn't make a difference." "Are you kidding me? You do realize that education is necessary, right? There's no need to be afraid of enrollment. I'm sure you'll enjoy college life, even more than high school. I don't doubt it, but for now I'd like to enjoy the life of a free man. I'm sure you're saying that out of emotion. Think about it soberly, and we'll come back to this conversation after a while, Harry replied, realizing that it was useless to pressure his younger brother because he had such a temper that he might start to stub his toe like a donkey. The next day, Harry met with Oliver and told his companion of his younger brother's decision. Walker, who had become not only a companion but practically a father to the orphans, also decided to talk to Jack to try to influence him. The attempt to find a common language and push the guy to make the right decision not only did not bring the proper result, but almost destroyed Oliver and Jack, as they have opposite views on life and the importance of learning. A little more time passed and Jack safely graduated from school, becoming one of the best in the class. Realizing that his brother had bright brains and they should not degenerate, Harry decided to talk to him again, reminding him of the importance of studying and getting a decent education that could help him in the future. Arriving home early, Harry decided to wait for his brother to show up and was greatly disappointed that Jack didn't show up home until after midnight. "Where have you been? I've been waiting at home for you since 7. Couldn't you have at least answered your phone? We were out with friends." "Why?" "I'm not an infant and I don't have to answer to you. I saw your calls, but I was too busy, so I'm sorry." "What have you been doing? Hugging girls and dancing with your friends?" Harry asked angrily. "Even if I was, what do you care? It's my life and I do what I think is right. Not everyone is as right as you are. Get over it. I don't just want to live for our parents. I want to live for myself. So let me enjoy my freedom." "So you're really going to go out for a year and not go to school?" "Yeah, that's right. I need to go out, get a taste of freedom, and have some fun. I've worked hard every day for 11 years. Don't I deserve a vacation?" "Don't worry, brother. Everything will be fine, and I will definitely go to university. But next year," Jack replied firmly, having made his final decision. "Okay, I understand you," Harry replied wryly, realizing that there was no point in explaining or proving anything. After passing his exams and graduation, Jack kept his word. He took a year's pause to relax a little and distract himself from his studies. The guy begins to actively go to nightclubs, allowing himself all that from which his older brother so diligently shielded him. Breaking out of the golden cage, Jack decided not to put any restrictions in front of him because he can try everything that is allowed or forbidden. Walking for days and weeks on end, the younger brother constantly asks Harry for money, reminding him that he promised not to deny him anything and provide for all his desires. Reluctantly, the older brother gives the money, even though he realizes he is doing it for nothing. He realizes that he has spoiled his brother since childhood, but he doesn't know how to fix it. Jack spends the whole day in bed and literally falls asleep in front of the computer. As soon as his brother comes back from work, Jack is going to another party, taking more and more money from his brother every day for entertainment. Harry is angry and dissatisfied. He does not like what is happening, so he repeatedly tries to talk to Jack. After waiting for him in the morning from another party, the older brother again tries to get through to his younger brother, who leads an immoral lifestyle. "Hi, how you doing? You got a headache?" "Hello to you too." "What's it to you? Are you going to treat me again?" "No, I'm a big boy." "Tell me what time it is," Jack replied, losing track of time. Days and months. 8 o'clock in the morning. "Shall I remind you of the date, or do you want to look at the calendar yourself?" Oh, I remember everything perfectly." "Good for you. I commend you. Are you gonna get smart or not?" "What do you care? It's my life, and I do what I want. If you talk to me like that, I'll take away your money. You should learn how to earn your own money. You could go out and work part-time, for example, as a courier for our company to get some experience," Harry said, suggesting to his brother that he should do something more useful with his free time than partying all the time. "Does the company bring in so little money that I have to be an errand boy?" "I'm not going to work for a pittance just to get a pittance," Jack answered rudely. and not wanting to continue this conversation, went to his bedroom. Harry wanted to follow his brother, but he realized there was no point because Jack would be asleep any minute and would easily forget this. Conversation by evening. Realizing that his influence is not enough, Harry decides to talk to because he is not just a companion, but a close friend who can give sound advice or help in the situation. "Hello. Do you have a moment?" Harry asked, looking into the office of his business partner. "Hi, Harry. Come in and have a seat. From the look on your face, is something wrong?" "Is Jack in trouble again?" Oliver asked worriedly, realizing that the younger boy had turned from a kind and attentive boy into an ordinary capital city major who lived and measured the world by money. Yes, he had become completely out of control. "I have repeatedly tried to talk to him and somehow bring him to reason, but all attempts are in vain. Maybe you can give me some advice." "I don't know. I would be glad to help because you are not strangers to me. But lately he does not listen to me at all and ignores me as if I am a complete stranger. You'll probably have to take care of your brother yourself. If you cannot persuade, then you need to find a way to push, but so that he wants to obey you. See if you can find a way to do that." "I hope you're right and I can do something," replied Harry, who, like Walker, felt guilty for spoiling Jack. He realized that he had to be proactive to get his younger brother to get his head on straight, but he hadn't yet figured out how to motivate him. So unnoticed in the constant struggle with his brother and his lifestyle, a year passes and Jack's 18th birthday approaches. Realizing that this is a significant date, Harry discusses the upcoming celebration with being not only a business partner but also a good friend. Oliver advises to talk seriously with his brother again and press him to finally decide on his future and choose the university he will enter in the coming weeks. After agreeing with his companion, Harry closes himself in his office to think about it for a while, weighing the pros and cons of the idea he's had in his head for months. Realizing that his brother's birthday is only a couple of weeks away, Harry decides to revisit the subject of studying using the only trump card available to him. "Hi. Aren't you tired of walking around the city at night every day yet?" his older brother asked, waiting for Jack to get home. "Hi. Why? Are you going to lecture me again, or have you thought of something new?" "No, I'm tired of trying to teach you and I want others to do it. The promised year is up, and you need to decide on a university. Where are you going to go? Look, I don't even want to talk about it. Don't bother me with talk. Just help me organize my birthday party and don't forget to finance it by renting a nightclub for me and my friends. You've been clubbing for a year. Why would you want to celebrate your birthday there? I'm not going to do it, so you can be mad at me. You can be offended, but I'm against it. If you want to have a party, there's a house for that. We have plenty of room, and I'll be watching you." "Cool. I'll be supervised by a probation worker. It's either that or nothing. You can rent a nightclub yourself if you can." "Okay, you're blackmailing me with money again." "All right, at home, I have nothing to be embarrassed about," Jack replied smugly and a little angrily, realizing that things hadn't gone according to his plan. "Great. I'm glad we understand each other, but that's not all. If you haven't forgotten, there's an admissions campaign going on right now, and you have a chance to decide on a university. I was thinking maybe I could take another year off. Let me talk, and then you can make your decision. If you can get in, I'll give you your own car for your birthday so you can go to university on your own and show off in front of your friends." "Oh, you're lying to me. You expect me to believe that?" Harry's younger brother was sarcastic, not believing his offer. "Have I ever lied to you before?" "I can keep my word, but you have to learn to do it too," the older brother replied persuasively, not letting his sincerity be doubted. "All right, it's a deal," Jack replied, realizing that Harry was telling the truth. Excited about the possibility of getting a car, the boy not only agreed to his brother's terms, but also rushed to his room to search for a university. From that day on, he took up his textbooks and continued to search for information on the internet, stopped going out to nightclubs, and denied his friends the opportunity to meet, realizing that the car, which his brother had promised him, was at stake. Working on the enrollment day and night, the guy could not decide for a long time in which university to enter, and soon found a way out, which would definitely please Harry. A couple days before his birthday, he had an excuse to talk to his brother to tell him the good news. "Hello, brother. I've been waiting for you," Jack said as he waited for his brother to return from work. I take it you have something to tell me?" "Yeah. I decided to follow in your footsteps and go to law school." "Well, congratulations. You kept your word, which means I'll keep mine," Harry replied, and went to the car dealership the next morning to pick out a present for his brother. A couple days later, Jack hosted friends at his house to celebrate his coming of age. The company was out, partying and celebrating, realizing that the guy was finally an adult. This day was special for Jack, not only because he had become a full shareholder in his father's gas company, but also because his brother had to keep his promise today. Having fun and celebrating with his friends, the boy waited every minute for Harry's return, anticipating his gift. Soon his older brother appeared in the house, and noticing him, Jack immediately headed towards him. "Hello, little brother." "I've been waiting for you," Jack said happily, hugging his older brother. "Hi. Happy birthday to you. I hope that from today you will take up your mind and start realizing yourself. I'm sure that this present can motivate you," said Harry, and solemnly handed his brother the keys to a brand new car, which was already waiting for Jack in the yard. Grabbing the keys, the guy ran out of the house, seeing in front of him a gorgeous snow-white Audi in the most expensive and rich configuration. Not holding back his emotions, he began to hug and kiss the car, because the guy could not imagine that his brother's gift would be so generous and expensive. "Thank you. Thank you. It's better than I could have dreamed," thanked his brother Jack, returning to the house. "You're welcome. I hope I won't regret this gift and have a reason to continue trusting you in the future," Harry replied, and without disturbing his brother's birthday party with his friends, he left for his room. Waking up early in the morning, Harry did his usual chores without wasting a moment. After working out at the gym and eating breakfast, the man went into his brother's room to wake him up. Seeing that Jack was asleep after a noisy party, he decided to give him a chance to rest, and without disturbing him, left for his work. Appearing in the office, Harry plunged headlong into his work. But soon there was a knock on his office door. Yeah, come in." "Hello, Harry. Can I see you?" the companion asked, looking into Harry's office. "Of course, Oliver. You didn't have to ask," Harry replied cheerfully, greeting his companion. "I'm sorry if I'm interrupting, but I wanted to ask you how things are going with your brother. Did you manage to find an approach to him or not?" "Yeah, it's working out. He got into law school in exchange for a car. I've never seen him so happy, bouncing around like a little kid with a brand new toy." "That's great. How was the party overall?" "It was good, but I decided to let Jack spend time with his friends." "Good for you. By the way, I'm inviting you all over this weekend for Jack's coming of age party." "I'll be sure to tell my brother," Harry replied, realizing that Oliver couldn't refuse, because they were like his own sons. When they returned home, the older brother told Jack that the Walkers had invited them to their house for the weekend. The boy did not dare to refuse, because he was warm to the family that replaced their parents. A couple of days later, the brothers go to visit Oliver and his wife to celebrate the birthday of the guy in the circle of loved ones. Finding themselves in the house of the Walkers, they were not just surprised, but rather shocked, because the whole manor was decorated with balloons and looked as if they were waiting to visit not two brothers, but some influential politician or businessman. The guys were even more happy when they saw the gorgeous table, which was literally bursting with abundance of food and exquisite dishes. "Hello, Jack. We congratulate you on your birthday and wish you to remain strong, independent, but at the same time wise and prudent," said Angelica, congratulating the guy on his coming of age. I join my wife's words. "Let luck pursue you both in your studies and personal growth. I'm sure that in the near future you will become a worthy successor and will help our common cause. Thank you very much. It is my pleasure. I hope you're right, Jack replied politely, thanking Walker. They sat down at the dinner table and began to talk, discussing things, reminiscing and having fun, forgetting everything around them. At some point, Oliver and Angelica confessed that they had also prepared a present. We have a surprise for you. I hope that you will appreciate it and will be able to have a good rest before the beginning of the school year, said the head of the family, and handed the guy a trip to Turkey for the end of the summer. Wow, cool. That's a great gift. Thank you, happily replied the guy, hugging the couple who replaced his parents who had left him prematurely. Soon the fall came, and having returned from abroad, Jack concentrated on his studies. Seeing his brother going off to university every day and constantly fiddling with his textbooks, Harry finally calmed down, believing that his brother had grown up and taken on a mind of his own. Happy about this, he was able to concentrate quietly on work matters and issues to continue to grow his father's business in every way possible. Several months passed. Harry and Jack crossed paths at home only in the evenings and on weekends, continuing to visit the Walker family, keeping up the old tradition. Harry's regular workday is not much different from the previous one, as he is up to his ears in documents and contracts to make sense of each number and the reason for its appearance. Harry, there's a call for you from the university, the secretary said over the dialer. Put it through, the man replied dryly, pushing all matters aside, realizing that he had not been disturbed for nothing. Good afternoon. Is this Harry Blossom? A gentle female voice asked. Hello, yes. I'm sorry, who am I speaking to and what is this about? The man asked. My name is Leslie. I'm Jack's handler. I'm sorry to disturb and distract you, but your brother hasn't shown up to class for a few days now and I'd like to discuss his behavior. Could you come to the university? I'll be there in half an hour, Harry replied, and dropping everything, went to the meeting. When he arrived at the university, the man stopped at the entrance to the building for a few minutes. When he remembered, Harry felt a little sad, because his student days had left a light imprint in his heart and were remembered for the rest of his life. Here he had experienced both the most difficult moments of his life, learning about what had happened to his parents, and joyful events, having fun with a friend and receiving his diploma. Experiencing a sense of nostalgia, the man went inside and slowly strolled down the familiar corridors and stairs, remembering funny situations that happened to him in this or that place. As he approached the pulpit, he didn't know where to find the curator Jack and decided to ask for help from a girl standing nearby. Hello, young lady. Excuse me, could you help me and tell me where to find Leslie? Hello, you already found her, she replied, turning around. Oh, I'm sorry, I mistook you for a student, Harry replied, a little embarrassed. Looking at the cute and short brunette, he couldn't believe that this attractive girl could be a teacher. Thank you for the compliment. It's my pleasure. I take it you're Harry? Yes, you wanted to talk to me about my brother. Yes, that's right. Let's go to my office, Leslie replied, and followed him into her office. Silently agreeing, Harry followed her, trying to anticipate what this beautiful woman would say. So what happened? Did he do something wrong? No, your brother didn't do anything wrong. But his behavior compels me to have a conversation with you, and hopefully you can influence Jack. He is an intelligent and interesting young man who can easily memorize new material and can shine in class. But at the same time, Jack has huge discipline and attendance problems. In addition, he often sasses teachers, and as if shows his careless attitude to them, often treats his classmates in a condescending manner, and this leads to constant conflicts. I hear you. I will definitely talk to my brother and try to solve this issue. Take my card. Here is my personal number. If you have any difficulties, call me directly, replied Harry, who felt embarrassed. He felt ashamed of his brother's behavior, and never before had the man felt like the father of a spoiled child. The only problem was that it was too difficult to bring up Jack because he was already an adult and was unlikely to be frightened by a belt or lack of opportunity to watch cartoons. Realizing this, Harry decided to come up with something more suggestive that would make Jack afraid. or at least reflect on his behavior and attitude towards other students and teachers. Back at work, the man still couldn't concentrate on the contracts and documents, so he put them aside and went home to talk to his brother, discussing his behavior. "Hey, brother, so where have you been?" asked Harry, waiting for his younger brother. Why the sudden questions? You know I have class. Don't lie. I was asked to come to the university today and told about your systematic truancy, not to mention your discipline, which is lame on both feet. So, are you going to teach me or treat me like a child? Wake up, I've grown up a long time ago, and I decide how to live my life, Jack answered defiantly, who began to show off, thinking that his brother was not his boss. "Yeah, you're right. I can't do it like a child, but I'll try. If you don't change, I'm going to take away your favorite toy. If I get another call from the university, you'll put your car keys on the table and walk or take the subway like other students. Do you understand me?" Okay, I'll make it up to you," Jack replied, realizing that Harry's threats were more than serious. As it turned out, a couple weeks later, he hadn't made any conclusions, continuing to walk and skip classes. Calling Harry, Leslie spoke again about Jack's behavior and complained about his constant absence. Realizing that there was no point in dropping things and rushing to the university, Harry offered to meet a little later to discuss his brother's behavior and find a common solution. Having finished with his work, the man began to get ready to go home, as he suddenly remembered that he had promised to call back his brother's curator and meet to try to influence him. "Hello again, Leslie. Sorry I'm late. I've been busy. Can we meet to talk?" "Yeah, but I'm already home." "If you want, we can meet in the park," the young woman replied kindly, telling him exactly where she would be waiting for Harry. "Okay, I'll be there in 15 minutes, he replied. And getting into his car, he hurried to the meeting. Once in the park, he noticed Leslie sitting on a bench nearby and approached her. "Hello again. I take it my brother's acting inappropriately again?" "Good evening, Harry. You see, the thing is, your brother is a capable enough guy, but his behavior is something terrible and unbearable. Please get him to do something about it, or I'll have to complain to the rector. You yourself realize what it threatens, Jack. We have a prestigious university, and no one will mess with him like a child." "I realize that, but it's too hard to influence him. Our parents left this world when he was a little less than 10, and I had to do his upbringing on my own. Trying to give the best, I spoiled Jack, making him a carefree major. Now any attempt to correct the mistakes leads to scandals and stress, but there is almost no result." "I'm sorry, I didn't know," Leslie replied with sympathy in her voice. "That's all right. I really want my brother to get a grip on his mind, and I wasn't afraid to trust him with the business, but so far he has the wind in his head," replied Harry. After chatting some more, he walked the woman home and hurried back to his place to have another talk with his brother, who had not heard his threats. Upon arriving home, Harry, unable to contain his emotions, ran up to his brother lying on the couch. Jack realized that his brother was furious and could not say a word, fearing that he would only cause an even greater wave of anger. "One more time this happens again, take away the documents from the university. I won't give you another penny, and you'll go sweep the streets," Harry said, taking the car keys from his younger brother. "No way, I'm a shareholder like you," Jack objected, thinking he was a millionaire by default. "You're wrong. The company is run by me and Oliver. We have a controlling interest, and we can make any decision without your interference. Moreover, we can easily freeze the dividends since you haven't done anything for the company. So you won't make any money in it," Harry said, raising his voice and going to his room. The next few weeks were quite difficult and tense, as the brothers hardly spoke to each other. Resenting Harry for taking away his keys, Jack defiantly ignored his brother and locked himself in his room as soon as he got home. At first, Harry ignored it and concentrated on work matters, but soon he became annoyed. Realizing that Leslie was suspiciously not calling, the man decided to stop by the university himself to ask the curator how his brother was doing. Once again walking through the native corridors, Harry once again found himself in front of the department, looking inside the office. He didn't see Leslie, and after looking for her, He realized he couldn't manage without help. Stopping one of the faculty members, he tried to find out where Leslie could be found. As it turned out, the woman was sick and took a sick leave to get back on her feet. Leaving the university, Harry was about to return home, but for some reason he decided to call Leslie, for he cared how the woman felt. Finding her number in the incoming list, he decided to make the phone call. "Hello, Leslie. Sorry if I'm interrupting." "Hello, Harry?" "Oh, that's okay. Not just that. First, I wanted to ask you about your health. I came to the university and found out you're on sick leave." "Yes, I am. Is there anything I can do for you?" No, don't worry. I'm on the mend." "That's wonderful. In that case, could we meet to discuss my brother?" Harry asked. "Yes, of course. But only if you come to my house," replied Leslie, and realizing that the man insisted, gave him her home address. Having finished the conversation, Harry bought flowers and fruit on his way to the woman's house to cheer her up and replenish her vitamins. Once there, the man felt a slight tremor in his fingers and a fright. This feeling was unfamiliar to him. He seemed to be calm, but at the same time very nervous, and his heart was pounding as if it was about to jump out of his chest. After he calmed down and got himself under control, Harry rang the doorbell and took a step back, looking forward to seeing Leslie. "Hello, Harry. Come in." Welcomed the guest politely. Leslie greeted him. "Hello, this is for you." The man timidly replied, taking out a bouquet and a bag of fruit from behind his back. "Thank you very much, but you shouldn't have," the woman replied, embarrassed, and invited Harry into the kitchen. Deciding to treat the man to tea, Leslie put the kettle on and took out a cake as suddenly a little boy of about 6 years old ran into the kitchen. Seeing the child, Harry was a little confused. He hadn't expected to see a boy, and he was confused because he didn't understand what he was doing here. "Hello, who are you?" Harry asked. "My name is Michael," the boy said with a serious expression, extending his hand to the stranger. "Nice to meet you, and my name is Harry," replied the man, whose bold and confident behavior caused a smile and admiration. "Meet my son," said Leslie, intervening in the conversation between Michael and Harry. "I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were married. I hope my visit won't cause any difficulties," the man asked, starting to get nervous. No, it's fine. I'm not married, so there won't be any problems or repercussions," replied Leslie, reassuring Harry. "Good. That's good to know," came out of the man's mouth, who was genuinely happy that Leslie was a free woman. "Well, I guess," embarrassed, she replied. "So what's up with my brother? Is he taking classes?" the man asked, abruptly changing the subject of the dialogue. "Yes, I'm grateful for your help. The situation has improved, and it seemed to me that Jack's attitude toward his studies and teachers has changed a lot." "That's good. I'm very glad," Harry replied. After a little more talking, he decided not to take up any more of Leslie's time. After all, she needed rest and peace. Hurrying home, Harry waited for his brother to return, and after thanking him for the changes and working on himself, returned the car keys. Continuing to concentrate on his work, Harry began to get distracted more and more often, thinking about Leslie, who he liked very much. Realizing that he couldn't get her out of his mind, the man decided to call the woman again a couple of days later. "Hello, Leslie. How are you feeling?" "Hi, I'm fine. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we need to meet urgently on something very important. If that's what it takes." "Yes. Let's meet tonight around 7:00 at the Meridian." "Okay," the woman obediently replied, not understanding why they couldn't meet in a simpler setting. Arriving at the restaurant and spotting Harry, Leslie headed towards him and was shocked to see a huge bouquet of flowers and a large box. "Are those for me?" she asked, surprised. "The flowers, yes, but the box is for Michael. I apologize for coming to the house without a gift for the baby. I just didn't think you could have such a grown-up baby." "It's okay. It's fine," the woman replied, embarrassed and pleasantly surprised by Harry's gesture and action. "How would you like to have dinner?" the man asked, gathering his courage. "I'm in But just let's switch to you, shall we? Okay, I'm in. Excuse me, but can I ask you a personal question? Why is such a sweet and pretty woman raising a child alone? Well, there's no secret, no surprise. Everything was fine and we seemed to have a perfect family, but that was until I found out that my husband cheated on me with my best friend. I couldn't forgive him for that and kicked him out of the apartment, Leslie replied, telling the story of the failed marriage. Continuing to chat, the couple continued to get to know each other without noticing how quickly the time flew by. Realizing that it was already quite late, Harry gave the woman a ride home and, offering another date, received consent. A couple of days later, Harry and Leslie met again to socialize and spend time together. By constantly socializing, they began to feel sympathy for each other, as they felt good and relaxed around each other. After a few more dates, a little daring, Harry offered Leslie a relationship. The man admitted that during this period he became very attached not only to her, but also to her son, because Michael is an interesting and bright guy who gives him positive emotions. Feeling that it was mutual, the woman agreed and their date stopped at walks in threes. Spending more and more time with Leslie and her son, Harry realized that without the two of them he does not imagine his life, and it will never be the same. Having ripened to a more responsible step, Harry called his beloved and proposed to meet after work in their restaurant, where they often dined lately. "Hey, sweetheart, how was your day? Everything okay at work?" Harry asked, meeting Leslie at the restaurant. "Hi, I'm a little tired, but overall it's great. And how are things going at the office? I wish it was better because I'm having a little trouble with some contracts, but that's not important right now. I asked you here today for a reason, but to tell you an important piece of news." "Yes, and what did you want to tell me?" Leslie asked curiously. "I realize that we have not known each other for a long time, but during these few months I have become very attached to you. Next to you and Michael I feel happy, so I really want to cherish these moments even more. I wish there were many more, so today I would like to say, or rather suggest," Harry said, and fell silent, feeling a lump in his throat from excitement. "Suggest what?" "Marry me," the man said, pulling out a cherished red box from his pocket. "You know that I already had a bad experience, and I didn't want to rush into it," replied Leslie, who was shocked and surprised. "Yes, I know, and I understand you perfectly, but have no doubt I am ready for family life. Besides, I would like to adopt Michael, and I hope you won't mind." "I agree, and that goes for both of your suggestions," replied Leslie, happily, starting to hug and kiss Harry. "Yeah, I'm the happiest man in the world," shouted Harry, scaring the restaurant patrons with his behavior. "I hope your reaction doesn't change after a while. I love you." "I love you, but I need to warn you that Michael is not the only member of my family, and before we legalize our relationship, you need to meet my parents." "I think I'm ready for that too. If you don't mind, I'd like to introduce my little brother to your family because he's the only person I'm close to." "Yes, okay, I understand," answered Leslie, who had no comments or objections. After some more time in the restaurant, Harry drove his future spouse home and left for his place. Upon his return, he couldn't hide his joy, so he decided to share it with Jack. The younger brother was surprised because he knew about Harry's relationship, but did not think that it was so serious for him. Until recently, he was sure that his older brother was living a life of work and obsessed with his father's business in order to continue to grow the business and the company. Now he saw him as a completely different person, ready for family life and the creation of a new unit of society. Jack was genuinely happy for his brother, for he realized that he needed this. A few days later, after waiting for the weekend, the brothers Leslie and Michael go out of town to the parents of Harry's fiancée to meet and socialize, informing them of their decision. As he approached his beloved's house, the man felt his fingers tingle and began to feel nervous, realizing that this was one of the most difficult moments of his life. He knew that it was extremely important to please Leslie's parents because they could influence her decision. Besides, Harry really wanted to become friends with the woman's family, as he lacked the support that approved of his decision. "Hi, Mom, Dad. I missed you guys so much," Leslie said as she got out of the car and met her parents. "Grandpa, Grandma," Michael shouted happily and ran after his mom to hug his loved ones. "Meet my future husband, Harry, and this is his younger brother, Jack," said Leslie as she introduced the brothers. "Nice to meet you," replied Harry timidly. "Well, hello, Harry. My name is Robert, and this is my wife, Catherine. So you are our future son-in-law?" the head of the Stone family asked in a simple way with a sincere smile. "I hope so," Harry replied, barely getting a few words out of his mouth. "Why is he so shy?" his father asked, looking at his daughter. "He's just very worried," replied Leslie, and went over to her lover to calm him down a little, taking his hand. "Come into the house. We will have dinner," said Catherine, inviting everyone to the table. "Calm down. Everything is fine," Jack whispered in his brother's ear, realizing that he was very nervous and needed to calm down a little. Once at the dinner table, the families continued chatting and getting to know each other better. Everyone made a good impression on each other, so they had a fairly easy and relaxed conversation. Realizing that Leslie's parents were quite simple and pleasant people, Harry calmed down and was able to talk about both himself and his brother, as well as their family. Leslie's parents were surprised to learn the story of the brothers, but at the same time had respect for them because, being young guys, they did not fall apart and continued to work. As a result, Leslie's parents really liked Harry, and the future son-in-law liked Catherine and Robert. After having fun in the country, the brothers and Leslie and the baby returned to the city. All Sunday they spend together, walking in the amusement park. Despite the strong age difference, Jack plays with Michael, and at some moments reminds Harry not of his younger brother, but of the child he raised. Observing his behavior, the man is genuinely pleased, because Jack finally managed to settle down and at least a little to take up his mind, concentrating on studying and solving complex problems. Evaluating his behavior from the outside, Harry realized that soon he will be able to involve him in the family business, but it is necessary to wait a little so that Jack can graduate. On Monday morning, Harry rushes to work, realizing that a difficult week lies ahead and he needs to do his best to solve all the difficult tasks. "Hello, Harry. Can I see you?" Oliver asked, looking into his companion's office. "Hello, Oliver. Yes, of course. How are you? Are you and your brother doing okay?" "Yeah, everything's great. Why do you ask?" "It's just that you didn't come to us this weekend, so I wanted to know if everything was all right," said Oliver, who had waited with his wife for guests all Saturday, but never waited for his brothers to arrive. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have called to let you know we had a change of plans." "I'm sorry," Harry replied, his head down as he wanted to call, but because of the stress of meeting Leslie's parents, he had completely forgotten about it. "It's okay, we understand. So tell me, what did you do? How was your weekend?" "We went to Leslie's parents' house." "Who's Leslie?" Oliver asked in surprise. "Oh yeah, I didn't tell you anything about her. Sorry, my mistake again. Leslie is my fiancée, whom I proposed to the other day. Jack and I went to her parents' house to meet her and get their approval, so to speak." "Wow, you're getting married. That's a twist. Congratulations. I hope she's a nice girl." "Yeah, Leslie's a wonderful woman and mother." "What do you mean?" "Well, she has a kid from her first marriage, Michael. You have no idea what a great kid he is. You should meet him." "I didn't expect that. You've made me happy," Oliver replied with a smile on his face, not expecting Harry to fall in love and take such steps. For the next few days, Harry concentrated fully on his work and the current contracts with the owners of the devices that were vital to the continued existence of the gas company. Missing the office day and night, the man couldn't find time to be with Leslie and her son. The woman took this with understanding, knowing full well what a difficult and important job Harry had. At the same time, he felt awkward because he had promised to spend time with them, despite the problems and his time-consuming job. Having dealt with all the current difficulties, Harry decided to rectify the situation and go to the sea for some rest and relaxation. Hello, Oliver. Can I steal a moment of your time? Hi. Yeah, sure. I take it you're here on business. You could say that. I've decided to take a little vacation and go to the seaside for a week. I hope that won't be too much trouble. Of course not. You've done a lot of work these days and you deserve a vacation. I promise I'll manage, replied the man who has been in this business almost all his conscious life with a smile. Great, I don't doubt you, but I still had a small request. What's that? Would you mind looking after my little brother? I realize Jack is of age, but sometimes he acts like a grown child, and I wouldn't want him to do anything here. Okay, don't worry, he'll be well looked after and under constant supervision, Oliver replied, reassuring Harry. Thank you, he replied, and leaving his companion's office, he called Leslie to inform her of the reservation for a room at the beachfront hotel. Overjoyed, the woman called at work and, taking a few days off from her boss, told her son the good news. In a couple of days, Harry, Leslie, and Michael are going on a short vacation to relax, unwind, and spend time together. A few hours later, a phone call rings in Walker's office. Digging through papers, the man didn't want to be distracted by the conversation, but persistence won out, and he had to pick up the phone. Hello, is this Walker Oliver? Afternoon, yes. I'm sorry to inform you that your business partner, Blossom Harry, was involved in a car accident on the way out of the area. Sadly, he has passed away. How? How did it happen? Walker asked, not believing his own ears. He had a flat tire, and Harry lost control and went into the ditch. I'm sorry, said the policeman who was first on the scene. What about the others? He was with his family, Oliver asked in a panic. The woman also passed away, and the child in serious condition was taken to the hospital, replied the law enforcement officer, and gave all the coordinates so that the man could find the boy and pick up the bodies. I hear you, Walker replied in a warm voice, and hung up the phone. He sat in silence for a few more minutes, unable to believe that what had happened was real. He wanted to think that it was an evil joke, a trick of competitors or some kind of prank, but at the same moment the man realized that it was real. Hardly holding back tears because of the pain tearing his chest, Oliver decided to call his wife to tell her what had happened and to ask her to delicately inform Jack about it, because he didn't have the right words to tell about the car accident. Hi, I have terrible news, he said, calling his wife. What is it? Something's wrong, asked Angelica, who had never heard her husband in such an eerie mood before. Harry and his fiancée were in a car accident. He's gone. Oh my God, what a nightmare. Yeah, I'm speechless. I have to tell Jack somehow, but I don't know where to start or how to find the right words. Can you talk to him? Please help me. Okay, I'll do it. He's just visiting us, so I'll try to find the right words, Angelica answered, and hanging up the phone, hurried into the living room where Jack was resting. Looking at him, she didn't know what to say to the guy, realizing what his reaction would be. Noticing the woman standing a few feet away from him, Jack realized something was wrong, for her gaze was lost and frightened. Is something wrong? Yeah. I don't know how to tell you this. What's wrong? Tell me. I'll be sure to help in any way I can. Unfortunately, there's nothing that can be done here. Don't be imaginative. It's all solvable. If I can't, I'll call Harry. He'll think of something. Not anymore. Jack, I'm sorry, but your brother's been in a car accident, and there's nothing we can do to help him, Angelica said bitterly. That can't be true, Jack replied, not wanting to believe it. Unfortunately, it's true. My husband called me a few minutes ago and told me what had happened. I don't want to believe it, Jack cried, feeling a terrible pain tearing him from the inside. The guy was in a terrible shock because he was left all alone. I'm sorry to have to tell you this news. What am I supposed to do now? Who needs me? I have no one, answered Jack, who had long ago lost his parents, and now he was left without his only family and loved one. Calm down. I understand and share your pain. You must remember that my husband and I are always there for you and will support you in any situation because you are like a son to us, Angelica said, and hugged Jack to calm him down a little. Realizing that not only his brother was in the car, but also Leslie and the baby, Jack called Walker back to find out what condition they were in. Upon receiving the details, Jack was once again stressed, realizing that the gruesome event had taken not only his beloved brother, but also his fiancée. Realizing that Leslie's parents needed to be informed, Jack wanted to call them but didn't dare to do so. Angelica took full responsibility and decided to call the Stones herself to tell them what had happened. After talking to Leslie's parents, the woman asked them to come to them to act together. Robert and Catherine, having learned about their daughter and grandson, immediately arrived at the Walker home. Soon Oliver also appeared at home, who reassured the Stones and supported Jack. After gathering their thoughts, they all went to the hospital to deal with the situation. Realizing that the hardest thing cannot be trusted to anyone, Oliver takes on all the hassle of burying Harry and Leslie. Meanwhile, Catherine, Robert, and Jack go in search of Dr. Michael to find out about the boy's condition. "Hello. Can you tell us where to find Victor?" Jack asks, meeting the doctor on his way. "Good afternoon. That's me, and I'm sorry. Who are you?" "We are Stone Michael's grandparents. And this is our relative," Robert answered the doctor. "The boy from the car accident, right?" The doctor clarified. Yes. How is he feeling? What's wrong with him?" The grandmother began to ask, demanding to know something. "Let's go to the room. The boy is asleep, so you can visit him," said the doctor, and went to Michael's room. Jack and Leslie's parents followed him to see the boy. "So he's all right?" the grandfather asked, seeing his grandson visually intact, but most importantly, alive. "Not quite. The thing is that the boy suffered a severe blow and injured his back. He needs an expensive operation, the price of which is in the neighborhood of $10,000. "How much?" "That's robbery," resented Robert, who had never seen such a sum in his life. "I'm sorry, but I don't set the prices. The boy needs a quality operation. Besides, German implants will be implanted, and this is not cheap by definition. If it is not done, he will not be able to walk," Victor replied, explaining that the operation is not only necessary, but it is important to do it as soon as possible. "Don't feel bad. I'm sure something can be worked out. I'll talk to Oliver, and I'm sure he'll support my initiative. Michael is not a stranger to us, and we won't leave him in the lurch," Jack said, trying to reassure Catherine and Robert. After some more time with the doctor and Leslie's parents, Jack left them at the hospital and went home to prepare everything to say goodbye to his beloved brother. After Harry and Leslie's funeral, Jack returns home. For the first time being in a completely empty house, he felt really lonely. The guy was really sad and bad, because it was clear to him that nothing can change. Remembering all his stupid actions, partying with friends and nightclubs, Jack blamed himself for not spending enough time with his brother. He wished he could fix it, but it was impossible. Realizing this, he realized for himself that Michael was the only outsider his brother loved and treated as his son. Feeling responsible to him and his loved ones, Jack decided to do everything in his power to help the boy get back on his feet. The next morning he, ignoring the university, went to the company to meet and talk to him. "Good morning, Oliver. Can I see you?" "Hello, Jack." "Yes, of course. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to talk to you about Michael's surgery. His grandparents are frugal people, and they just don't have the money to pay for the boy's treatment. I realize he's nothing to you, but maybe you could help me out and lend me some money." "Now, you don't have to ask for money, because you are a full-fledged companion and direct heir of your brother. You have the right to decide where and how to spend the money with full control over it. Moreover, I support your decision, and I'm sure that all the money spent will go to a good cause." "Yes, you're right." "Thank you for everything," Jack replied, and realizing that he could freely dispose of the company's money, pulled out the necessary amount from the accounts. Having received the money, he went to the hospital to pay for the boy's surgery as soon as possible. Having heard from the doctor that Michael had recovered, Jack decided to visit him to have a little talk with the boy and support him in this difficult moment. "Hey, Michael. How are you? How are you feeling?" Jack asked. barely holding back tears as he looked at the little boy who was bedridden due to a back injury. "Hi, I'm fine. The doctor came by the other day and said they're going to prep me for surgery. Did you pay for that?" "Yeah, I did. You realize I can't do anything else?" "I do. I miss Mum and Harry," replied the boy sadly, who after talking to his grandparents realized that they were gone forever and he would never see them again. "I miss them very much too. They will always live on in our hearts, and you should remember that. And also know that I will never leave you," Jack replied, trying to be supportive and cheer up little Michael in some way. "Thank you. I know," the boy replied and raised his arms, indicating that he wanted to hug the boy. After hugging, Jack finally realized that this little boy was not a stranger to him. Moreover, now he was the closest person he should help in every possible way because he felt responsible for him and his health. A few days later, the doctor called Jack and asked him to come to the hospital with his grandparents, as he had performed the operation and wanted to talk to them. Without wasting a minute, Jack calls Robert and makes an appointment. After picking up his grandparents, he rushes to meet the doctor. Once in the office, they had to wait for Dr. Pirogov, as they arrived too quickly and he did not have time to finish his routine rounds. "Hi, sorry for wait." "Hello, it's nothing. How is our grandson?" Robert asked. "The operation was a success, but you realize that it's the back and it's not that simple. Now the boy should recover and we will monitor his well-being. If everything goes well, in a few months he will be able to take his first steps and then return to normal life. I'm sure everything will work out," Jack replied firmly, not doubting that they would get Michael back on his feet. After thanking the doctor, the grandparents went to their grandson's room to visit him and be with him for a few minutes. Soon Jack arrived and was pained to see a 7-year-old boy bedridden and unable to enjoy life like other children. He could hardly hold back his tears, but he had no doubt that he would do everything he could and more to help him, for he still felt a sense of duty to his brother and his fiancée. Leaving the boy's room, Jack decided to make one more important and right, in his opinion, step, which would allow him to surround Michael with care and attention. Realizing that the boy is in a serious condition, Jack offered Leslie's parents to live with him as long as necessary. Such a proposal shocked the old people, because they were wildly uncomfortable in front of the guy, because he already does more than he could be expected to do. Jack was not only kind to them, but also persistent. After a little thought and discussion, Robert and his wife agreed to a short-term move, so that they could be in town all the time and visit their grandson more often. A couple of weeks later, the doctor calls Jack and invites him to visit, as the issue concerns not only the boy's health, but also the financing of his treatment. "Hello, you wanted to see me?" Jack asked, finding himself in Victor's office. "Good afternoon, Jack. Yes, I understand that you are in charge of financial issues, so I didn't call Michael's grandparents. The fact is, the recovery isn't going as fast as we'd like. In addition, additional treatment and rehab will be required. Money is not an issue, so do whatever you need to do." "Okay. I understand you and I dare not delay you any longer," the doctor replied, realizing that he had no limitations and had only one task: to put Michael on his feet at any cost. Realizing that he is now an adult with responsibilities and a burden of responsibility, Jack goes to the office. There he meets Oliver and asks him to help him as quickly as possible to master the subtleties of business, as Harry once taught him. Surprisingly, the guy turned out to be very flexible in business and instantly began to internalize the basic principles of work and its complexities. After spending almost the whole day in the office, Jack decided to take a little rest to give time to Leslie's parents living at his house. On his way out, he bought a cake to have dinner and talk about Michael. "If you don't mind, I'd like to continue to help Michael in any way I can. I realize we're not related, but he and Leslie have practically become family to my brother. I can't leave the boy in trouble, and I'll do my best," Jack said, sitting down at the kitchen table. "Thank you. During this time, you have become not only a close person to us, but practically a son. So we welcome any decision you make. I hope you'll support mine and my wife's as well. "We'd like to look into adopting a grandson as soon as possible," Robert replied. "That's a great idea. I would love to adopt Michael myself, but I can't do it since I have no family. At the same time, I promise that I will always help him. We have no doubt about that and are grateful for your help. You are a wonderful person, just like your brother," Catherine replied with tears in her eyes, and went to Jack and hugged him tightly by the shoulders. Several weeks of rehabilitation pass. During this period, Robert, Catherine, and Jack repeatedly visit Michael, so that the boy constantly feels their support and the presence of close people. At the same time, Jack is torn between his studies and work in the office because he needs to learn everything that his brother knew. Continuing to visit the boy, Jack constantly meets with the doctor to see if there are any positive developments in prognosis. But unfortunately, there is still no significant improvement. After a couple of weeks of rehabilitation, Michael was able to sit up and started to move around in a wheelchair. But this is too little because he needs a normal life. The doctor and his charges apply all modern methods of treatment and justify themselves to Jack, but in no way can help the boy, as he still cannot stand on his feet. Thinking that the doctors here are not qualified enough, Jack thinks about finding a more expensive clinic, but Victor convinces him that the best specialists cannot be found in the country. Besides, they have modern equipment that can't be found in every clinic, so the boy is in safe hands. It's just that his situation is extraordinary and needs more time. Trusting the doctor and giving him a little more time, Jack continues to delve into the work to become a worthy replacement for his father and brother. Being a great companion and a man with love for the sons of a comrade who has passed away, Walker helps Jack in every way possible and teaches him everything he taught his brother until recently. The man sincerely wants the guy to be able to master the job and take over Harry's duties, because one day the whole company will pass into his hands. Working every day until late in the evening, Jack pleasantly surprises with his assertiveness and drive, the desire to know more and achieve results. Watching all this from the outside, Walker realizes that the guy is ready for new challenges and tasks. "Hey, Jack, will you come into my office?" Oliver asks, calling the guy and inviting him to his office. "Hello?" "Yes, of course. I'll be there in a minute," Jack answered, and putting aside all the cases and papers, went to his companion's office. "You wanted to see me?" "Yes, sit down. We need to talk." "How's Michael doing?" "He seems to be doing well. He can sit in a wheelchair, but it's not as smooth as I'd like it to be. The doctor promised to get him back on his feet, but now he's dragging his feet. I don't know if I should look for another specialist." "I don't think you should get too excited. The kid's had a severe trauma. It doesn't heal that quickly." "You're probably right. I'm just nervous and I want to help him." "I know you're doing great, but sometimes you have to be patient and wait a little longer. You're doing everything you can, so I have no doubt that Michael will be back on his feet and running again," Oliver replied, who was also worried about the boy, although he tried not to show it. "Was that all you wanted to discuss?" Jack asked in surprise, realizing that it could have been discussed on the cell phone or after hours. "No. We have to leave town in a couple of days. I have important negotiations with business partners, and I want you to come with me. You're my partner, so you have to be at the meeting so you don't question my honesty and integrity. I've never had any reason to doubt you." "That's true, but it's still important for you to be present to see how the process is organized and to learn how to conduct business negotiations," replied Oliver, who saw it as a new and indispensable lesson without which it is impossible to conduct business. "Okay, I understand. If necessary, then we'll go," Jack agreed, and realizing that the conversation had come to an end, hurried to his workplace to continue to sort through the papers that Walker had given him to study a few days ago. After work, realizing that he has to leave for a few days, Jack heads to the hospital to meet Michael and warn him of his brief absence. Opening the door to the room, he was pleasantly surprised, for here were the boy's grandparents, who had also come to visit him. "Oh, it's good to see you all together." Michael, I have big news for you, and I hope you will understand and support me. I'm trying to take over my brother's business, so I have to go out of town for a couple days for work. I hope that's okay? No. I will miss you very much and wait for your return, the boy answered. Don't worry, Michael is under our reliable care. So drive safely. Robert added, Okay, thank you very much. After sitting and chatting with the boy some more, Robert, Catherine, and Jack realized that it was already quite late, as the recession hours were long gone. After saying goodbye to the boy, they headed home to get some rest after a hard day. The next couple of days were quite difficult and stressful, as Jack had to study several more useful materials and dozens of articles before going on his first business trip. At the same time, he had to devote time to the university in order to trivialize the problem areas and not to fly out early. A couple days pass and Jack hurriedly puts his suitcase down. Looking out the window, he notices Walker's car and, realizing that he is already late, says goodbye to Leslie's parents for a few days. After spending almost the entire day on the road, Oliver and Jack arrive in another town. Realizing that they have only rest planned for today, they rent a large hotel room on one of the upper floors. After resting a bit, Jack and Walker head to a restaurant nearby to have dinner and discuss work matters. In the course of the conversation, Oliver puts Jack to an unreasonable test, asking questions and demanding immediate answers to them. The guy easily coped with the task, which pleased his mentor. Well done. You're doing great. You're learning faster than I thought you would. Thank you. I have a good teacher. Yes, you are, Oliver agreed with a smile on his face. What are we going to do next? Jack asked. Well, I'm going to rest. And you have one more assignment. Tomorrow night we have a business meeting, so I wanted to ask you to go through all the documents again. Familiarize yourself with them. Look for possible mistakes or legal inaccuracies. Okay, will do. The next night, Jack and Oliver meet with the business partners. While Walker discusses the contract, Jack silently observes the process, trying to memorize every detail of minimal importance. At some point, he unexpectedly joins the dialogue, making a useful remark on one of the points of the contract. As it turns out, the guy spent almost the whole night behind the papers and found a legal inaccuracy that could have cost him and Walker several $1 million. Noticing the error, Walker agrees and demands that the agreement be amended. The partners, after reviewing the documents once again, realize they have made a mistake and ask them to stay another day to change the terms of the contract. The next day, Walker and Jack review the contract again. After making sure all mistakes have been corrected, they agree to the terms of the deal. Deciding that they should return to town in the morning, Jack and Oliver hit the road in the evening and return home. Realizing that he hasn't seen Michael in a few days, Jack decides to pleasantly surprise the guy. On the way to the hospital, he buys a whole bunch of toys and various gifts to try to please the boy, at least in this way contributing to his recovery. Opening the door to the room, he sees that an incredible miracle has happened because Michael is standing at the window. Experiencing a shock, Jack dropped the gifts and, not paying attention to it, ran up to the boy to hug him. How long have you been on your feet? Is this for real? Am I awake? He began to ask, not believing his own eyes. True. I tried to do it myself shortly before you left, but I was afraid to talk about it beforehand. Today is the second day I can get up and stand, but I'm still in a little pain. Hello, Jack. As you can see, Michael will soon be able to walk and run on his own, said the doctor, who entered the room after Jack. Thank you very much. You are a real wizard, Jack replied, thanking Victor. Thank you. Unfortunately, without money, it's impossible now. So your merit is no less than mine. I would also like to note that after discharge, the boy needs a change of scenery, rest after the hospital room. For example, you could take him to the sea, so Michael could breathe the sea air, rest, and run barefoot on the sand. It will be good for him. Okay, I'll do that, Jack agreed, promising Michael that he would pick a time and take him to the sea. Hurrah! Thank you, replied a happy Michael, hugging him tightly. A couple weeks later, Robert, Catherine, and Jack arrive at the hospital to take the boy home. During dinner, Jack reminds them of his promise and says he warned Walker. After only 10 days, they leave for the sea for a vacation. By the way, you could come with us. I'm renting a whole house on the beach, so there's plenty of room for everyone, said Jack, suggesting Robert and Catherine to come with them. No, you two men go together, and we'll wait for you here, replied the grandfather, realizing that his grandson was in good hands. 10 days later, Jack and Michael pack up and go to the sea. Arriving at the rented house on the beach, the boys settle in, unpack, and go for their first walk along the beach. Why are you so sad? Jack asked, looking at Michael. I miss Mommy and Harry very much, the boy answered, sighing heavily. And I miss them. When I was about your age, I lost my parents too. But I always had my older brother there to help and support me. But I don't have any brothers or sisters, Michael said sadly. I want to tell you to always know and remember that you have me. I will always be with you. I will be your support in every situation. Now you can consider me your big brother, Jack said, putting his arm around the boy's shoulders.